Okay, hi friends. I'm having some major discoveries going on here, working on this new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn over DC. Because it's such an important chart, an important time in history. I'm doing a lot of people. I was doing our agencies and I finally got to the bad guys. Wow, they're up to no good. I thought Facebook and Zuckerberg and Google were involved in, the social media disinformation. They're in way deeper. Elaine Chao is definitely in cahoots with China, and how I keep seeing this Ace of Cups. And it's the Devil, the Empress, the Eight of Cups, the Nine of Pentacles. In the second house of income gains, that means the Devil, which is Putin. The Empress is Trump, Russia. The Eight of Cups, that's setting something up, staging. How convenient for transportation, for the oligarchs. Elaine Chao and Xi Jinping had the Ace of Cups in the second house of income. So they're in cahoots with this. This next part disturbed me because I'm seeing a repetitive pattern I have not seen amongst these guys before, and it's showing up all over today. Xi Jinping, Four of Swords. That is the Four of Swords. It's like, why would he be retreating in the third house of communications and neighborhoods? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like he's malware, like he's a spy. So I want to clarify on the Four of Swords here in the third house. I get the Page of Cups. Now in the third house of communications, and now we're talking about digital information communications because these are swords. This is just a bunch of information. I almost think it's like the voter rolls, state and local voting rolls. I mean, it's just a mine of information for them. We have the Knight of Swords, which is intelligence, or spies in the neighborhoods, stealing information for the right time. To me, this looks like hacking into local government's information. And Page of Cups, because all of the local people are unsuspecting. They're innocent. They don't know what's going on. So when I'm like, does this have to do with voting machines and the election and using that data? Because Wheel of Fortune has to do with timing. What do I get? This showed up before. Death, which means changing of votes or changing of data that is transmitted overseas so they can work on identifying votes to suppress, rig, or change information of voters, leaving them out of voting. And that's how they're going to separate and divide voters from the Democratic nominee, or during the primaries, getting the person in that they want. They've been so busy, all of them, working on this, and now I'm finally getting it. Kim Jong-un, that dirty bastard. He in his gains, income is Seven of Pentacles, all that data he gets. You know who the data provider is? Google, I think, is a Seven of Pentacles, where I don't have a, here. Oh yeah, this was a card on top for Xi Jinping. China is hacking our elections. Seven of Pentacles, I think, is Google. And Google is willingly providing information and data. This is how Kim Jong-un gets paid. Kim Jong-un also drew the Hermit card for the defense of the USA, this fourth house here. This has to do with our defense and security. He had the Hermit, which means he's like the entry for spying on the United States, right at the entry point, at the foundation of our country. There's a lot more here, but I just wanted to share this. I'm just so angry. Breathe, breathe, breathe. I can't wait to find out how these guys get eclipsed. Okay, thanks. Okay, a lot to unpack here. Brad Parscale. I'm so angry right now. Breathe. Keep breathing, you guys. Keep breathing. You're not going to like this, but we got to know. This is what I think I've solved tonight. This is for entertainment purposes only. I could be as wrong as I am correct, but this is what I see from the cards. This is my new moon solar eclipse check-in with Brad Parscale. I just explained how this Four of Swords for Xi Jinping, it showed up in the third house of communications and local neighborhoods, which meant to me that with the Page of Cups, which is the voters, they're able to go in and steal data, steal information because of the hacking. The Knight of Swords, Page of Swords, hackers and hacking, that they steal for a time to use at a later time. And when the time comes, it's used to separate voters and suppress them and or change votes that are transmitted, the Six of Swords, across, across the seas to other lands to get Donald elected. That was Xi Jinping down here in the third. Brad Parscale has it in his first house, meaning this is his identity. This is what the Trump campaign manager does, is work with China to hack the elections. He's not only working with China, but Shinzo Abe and Benjamin Netanyahu are also in on it with spies and hacking and data that they're using also through Google. Parscale. That's who he is. Stealing the election. Looks like he's not doing anything, but he's working behind the scenes diligently with, oh, look at that, 3 other nations. China, Japan, Israel. Because he does this because the gain is the Three of Cups, the election. And he's here on the ground in neighborhoods. He has representatives in districts to help divide and suppress the votes here in the USA. He does this by making offers. Donald makes him offers, do this, do that, do that. His primary role, Parscale, is dealing with data, turning it upside down. But this is the whole propaganda machine. I had wanted to know more clarifiers this time on this Two of Swords and dividing voters and the vote related to this new moon eclipse. So here we go again. We divide voters because of Trump Russia and the Trump dynasty. This year they had a tower moment this time around, or are having another tower moment that's going to result, well, we know we're having indictments, but more indictments and courts this time around. Thank goodness. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, when Lavrov came to the U.S., to D.C. to visit, he installed this thing in the White House, the Ace of Cups. I was like, he installed something like this so that he could transmit information across the waters. Brad Parscale had this in his 10th house, what's crowning him his highest achievements. And I just realized that the Ace of Cups also, now that this is installed in the White House, because it's a communication device, Elaine Chao is able to work with Xi on stuff for Donald, for the oligarchs, and payments to Russia. Let's see what else is it going to say about this. That was all I was going to say for now. Four of Cups makes its return. We've seen this in the past with how a very mafioso move, like brute force on a person. I'm telling you what to do. Here you go. Go do it. Well, now it has a deeper meaning, because I'm like, why is this Four of Cups all of a sudden showing up again everywhere? And this was the card of the reading for Brad Parscale. Well, I'm going to tell you a story with all these clarifiers. It is mostly about the King of Wands, angry Putin. It's also MBS. But that's the one that's backing this plan. So this Four of Cups has to do with voters, the electorate, and news that is coming quickly from overseas, and they've had to put a plan in place. It is progressing quickly for the Republican Party, because the Republican Party is also toast. So here's the new op, is to, they installed that, to seem like they're retreating. I explained this, hacking voter rolls, voter information, where they've been gaslighting us and not really had a plan. Well, through all this haze and confusion comes a plan. Through all the distraction comes a plan that we can't see, which involves the thing that Lavrov installed in the White House. That now, not only does DOD Esper have access to this, as does Eric Trump knows about it, so does Sheldon Adelson. I think Shelby knows about this Ace of Cups thing. Well, it's so they can blend all their information and data that they have, and they're going to recirculate it and reuse it for the government. Voter information. With propaganda that's been weaponized against them in the election. So kind of an elaborate form of micro-targeting, but it sounds like it's on steroids, because now the government is involved, as well as the agencies, and because it's going between countries, I'm sure Russia, the Saudis, the Chinese, the Israelis, and the Japanese are using it, because they're all showing, and also Kim Jong-un, because they're all showing some sort of form of hacking going on in our local governments. And here you go. This might make you feel better. Pelosi and Schiff realize some of this that's going on. Oh, I didn't get to tell you about the Three of Swords. The heartbreak, the heart with three swords going through that. I'm glad to see this is Schiff's card of the reading, because that actually has to do with the GOP's success of suppressing voters, purging voters. That's what the Three of Swords is. So Schiff has that. He knows what's going on with if I read it as it pertains to this thing that's just blowing up right now, that means he knows what's going on with the voter purges. He knows how they're changing the votes. This is the second house of income, USA income, assets, monies. He knows that's involved. He knows that then they are blending information that they're receiving from hacking, that our nation's security is really more that the Six Wands mob is in charge of what's going on here. King of Cups. He knows that they're sharing all the resources and plans with Putin. He knows about the Four of Cups. I couldn't understand why Schiff had the Four of Cups, which it was in the 11th house of hopes, wishes, and dreams. Hopes, wishes, friendship, technology, innovation, as did the Divine Feminine. Well, now we understand the Four of Cups having to do with voting, which ultimately targets the voters, to get voters suppressed by using data government-wide to win elections. How about that for the Divine Feminine? That's why she was really on top of it. Pelosi knows how they're blending information. She knows about the Seven of Cups, the gaslighting, and what they're doing behind the scenes, because Pelosi has the Four of Cups. Remember, I just said that has to do with using voter data and information to force a choice upon them that they don't really want. Hopefully that people won't go vote so that the Republicans can win the election. Well, Pelosi had that in the 6th house. That's government and public workers, which aligns with the data that they're using at a government-wide level to affect the election. And Donald also had that Four of Cups in the 6th house of public service. Pelosi knows about the Five of Cups, we the people, the Five of Cups, how that China and Russia are using data information to retain control over the office of the president. She has it all, the Four of Swords, remember, that's transmitting voter information overseas, especially with China and Japan, and I think maybe Israel. And then in the 9th house, the Four of Pentacles is how they consolidate the power, all that power for Donald. Her secret is the part of fortune. She knows when they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, and she knows that they're using data. So Pelosi knows a lot. That's a bit of a relief.